My name is Grant Crowell,
My name is Tanner Merck.
and we did our Sustainability Innovations Project on the implementation of motion censored light bulbs compared to light switch activated bulbs and their sustainable habits that come with them. So the introduction, coal is the leading natural resource used for electricity production, which is harmful to the environment first off because burning coal releases a lot of carbon dioxide into the environment, which leads to global climate change, as well as coal is a non-renewable natural resource, so we have a limited supply and can't if we run out of coal sources too quick, then we're going to be left with finding other ways to provide sources for light. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of effects that coal brings, negative effects that coal has, like air pollution, fly ash disposal, and acid rain. And a statistic is 50% of the electricity is generated from coal-fired plants, so that just shows how much that we really do rely on coal for light production. And like I said, coal is a non-renewable natural resource. So the main question is, what can we do to fix this problem since we're so reliant on coal for light sources?
So one thing we can do is limit the amount of time that lights are on. A 75-watt light bulb burning for 10 hours consumes 750 watts of energy, and lights are often left on longer than they need to be, which is wasting a lot of energy that coal is being used to burn. And this is why implementing motion censored lights would help reduce the need to burn coal.
For our sustainability impact, we researched a couple of universities that have already put in motion sensor light bulbs in the majority of their buildings on campus. Stanford University in Birmingham is one of the first schools that started doing this on a consistent basis. And some of our newly constructed buildings on our campus actually have them. I know some of the study rooms in like the newer dorms, like the suites and the commons, have them already.
And switching to motion sensor lights would lower electric costs and coal usage because lights aren't going to be on as long and not using as much energy. One outdoor floodlight costs $35 to run a year, and switching to making it motion censored brings it down to $2 a year.
Further expanding on this, LED motion censored lights, which would be an upgrade from just basic motion censored lights, last even longer than the regular ones. They last 25 times longer than that. Also, they use 75% less energy. And expanding on from the $35 to the $2, making an LED light moves it from $2 a year to 50 cents a year when LED lights are installed into these systems. So you can see, I mean, you go from $35 a year to 50 cents a year is a huge change.
And then using less energy with these motion censored lights lowers your power bill as well because you're not using as much of the energy. UNG spends about $100,000 on power bills each year, and then 17% of that is from lights.
Their non-environmental impacts, or their non-environmental benefits to motion censored lights as well. It eliminates the need for light switches, which isn't a huge issue, but you walk into a dark room and you don't have to, having these motion sensor lights, you wouldn't have to start looking for light switches left and right or have them in inconvenient places. And also they're also a huge defense for burglars. A burglar walking onto a dark house and all of a sudden a light flashes on when he moves into the driveway would be a huge safety mechanism as well.
And then a very important practice to make energy sustainable is to switch from non-renewable energy sources and trying to use as less as possible. And then to make it sustainable for future generations, we can't use up all that we have right now. So we need to assess what we're using now and try to stretch it out as long as possible. And that's how motion sensor lights would help, because we're not going to be using near as much coal if we could switch to using less energy through the lights. And then that small adjustment will help save millions of dollars on non-renewable energy sources.
The installation costs are pretty significant for motion sensor lights. Obviously they're very complicated, and occasionally you have to have multiple sensors throughout a room, at doors and things like that. But the amount of energy costs that the motion sensor lights save are actually covered in just 1 year of using them. So they're very effective, and the turnover time is very quick. And also implementation can show how many benefits these lights offer. Obviously, as far as the 1 year when the costs are covered, but also for future, you're going to really recognize how much you save in power bill costs, as well as saving the environment and being a sustainable way to produce light.
The ultimate goal is to raise awareness for other places to see how effective this is in the switch, because we're going to need more than just UNG to make the switch to actually cause a big difference. And then we can show other places how effective the switch to this, how it saves on money and the environment.
And so for our timeline, we expanded on this a little bit in our outline and our proposal. Yes. First off, we want to install the systems into Newton Oaks and Owen Hall, the buildings that don't currently have these, and see the impact that they really do have. We want to receive feedback from students and teachers on the effectiveness of the lights, to see if they really are, if there are any problems or any maintenance that has to be taken on that needs to be put into account. Also, you need to compare the power bills to see if they really do cause a savings in money, which obviously, as the facts show, they do. And if these lights are a success, then we can start implementing them into all the buildings on campus, hopefully, in a very short amount of time. And hopefully we can see this expand onto other universities as well that are larger and more across the country than UNG is. And there are our sources. So, and we have a short video we'd like to show as well, to kind of show the impacts that
the non-environmental
impacts of what the
benefits, non-environmental
Yes.
benefits.
I need to start the slide again. A little hyperlink. That's the end of the show. We're getting there. Okay. Here we go. So, there's an advertisement for the LED lights you can do with motion sensor lights. So obviously making that presentation obviously covers how sustainable these lights can actually be, and how important it is for us to make sure we don't use up all of our non-renewable resources, especially with lights, which is a huge part of our world today. So that's all we got. So
Thank you.
Thank you. What a time! 9:27 with the